Hello, and welcome to our not quite on time 1 year sort of reminiscence of the podcast here.
I would like to say, actually, while day-wise it doesn't really coincide with anything particularly special, we are recording this on Easter, and last year on Easter Sunday, we finished up the Prelude.
Okay,
So there we go.
Works out.
It kind of worked out.
Except that Easter was also way earlier last year, so we're quite a bit behind, but it's fine. We are we're here and we're ready to go. So we just like to take a little look back. We're going to answer some questions and just kind of talk about where we've been going with the podcast, and hopefully talk a little bit about where we're going in the future. So to start out here, I'd like to go around to all of our PC characters and just give me a quick sort of, maybe 2 minutes or less on what the inspiration behind your character was. Like why you chose to play who you chose, and kind of like what led you to their sort of character.
You're talking for our main Ornon campaign?
Yeah, we're going to go main campaign. I know people have played multiple characters.
Well, I didn't know if you're referring to that or the prelude to the main campaign.
Yeah. So let's start here with Ash.
Okay. Well, it was pretty easy for me. I love dragons, always have, so Dragonborn was a natural choice for me. And as a guy going into wildlife biology, it just, Druid just kind of clicked in my head like, ooh, that's cool. Let's see what that's about. And I just kind of read up on what Druids are like, and I was like, I like this already. This character kind of reminds me of what I like, so it was a pretty easy build, honestly. And I'm really liking where he's going, too.
So I think it's probably fair to say that this would be like you if you lived in a fantasy world.
Yes, I'd say it's safe to say that would be me in a fantasy world.
All right. I appreciate the honesty. All right, Ray.
Brave, like Merida from Brave? I wanted to make Merida from Brave in Dungeons & Dragons and mix her with, like, a paladin sort of fighter sort of thing. And I don't know, I think she turned out pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really your voice through the character that brings her to life.
All right, can we go?
Yeah, go. Let's have Brandon go here.
All right, so for Sibo, I went for the rogue mainly because this was actually my second character ever. So my first was a ranger. I like the sneaky kind of character mindset, but I didn't really want to mess with the magic of the ranger. Or cleric was the first one I played. Way too much magic for me. I thought I'd dumb it down for myself, so I went for the rogue. But I really wanted to embrace kind of like this woodland, thief who cares for where he lives and just kind of roams, and also gets to do some pretty kick-ass stuff, so.
Again, I appreciate the honesty with saying you wanted to dumb down the character. That's really a lot of honesty to start off this episode. It's not normally like this. All right, Bronson.
All right. So, Mikhail, I took an inspiration of, I wanted to imagine somebody who was born for the purpose of war, but also had no ties to a former life other than an orphan prepared for war. And I figured warrior cult would be kind of like a fun backstory to go with for the character, give him a cold resilience. And I tried just to bring that character, as well as he's trying to cultivate a sense of empathy. He doesn't understand everything about the world. He's trying to understand it. He does come across as being very abstract. Sometimes.
Maybe a little aloof.
Certainly.
All right.
Demented?
Very.
Another great word.
I don't know how aloof he is when he's running through the woods naked in a loincloth, killing everything in sight, but...
You ever seen a Marine
Hunting.
struggling with PTSD?
I was going to say,
Is that
he's
his
gotta
form of
have...
is that
like,
how he...
It's
how
his,
he
like,
handles it?
normalizing stuff.
Ah, I gotcha.
He turns it into a hunt.
He's bringing it all into balance.
He cultivates himself, just normalizes himself.
What about Joan?
The man of tragedy.
The man of tragedy.
Mr. Texas himself.
So I'm not going to go into all the stuff about name and things with that, because I did that in the first episode, so you already know all that. So I guess I'm going to go with more of like the characterization inspiration. So I was really trying to have it be kind of the archetype of your stereotypical lone gunman. And I thought that giving him like a pretty tragic backstory and with a hunt for vengeance was pretty standard. And it seemed to be a common theme for all of our characters. Aside from that, I'll admit, trying to come up with a voice, I was trying to avoid doing like a John Wayne or Clint Eastwood, and then it just ended up pretty much turning into McCree from Overwatch.
You can say that again.
Without it intentionally being a derivative of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably helped that at the time we started this podcast, you were playing Overwatch pretty religiously.
I was just playing that the other day.
I guess the other thing with that is just like I didn't think there was a lot of Western thematics integrated into D&D, so I kind of wanted to bring that edge without turning it into a full-blown like Western D&D kind of show. And also, I also really like the idea of, you know, combining a cowboy with a wizard. I thought that was pretty unique.
For sure.
I would agree. I think that you did a fantastic job of, like you said, really bringing that Western element that D&D doesn't necessarily have into the game.
Much agreed.
You know, I had a lot of fun with being able to use that to kind of build sort of I guess in this world it's Eastern, not Western, but a sort of that same sort of motif around, where Joan came from, and that was a lot of fun. So I also want to discuss, believe it or not, or maybe you can believe it, I don't know how good we sound, but a lot of us had never played D&D before we started this. So I'd just like you guys to kind of talk about what it's been like sort of learning the game as we go.
So I'm excluded from this, probably.
Why not?
What?
Why?
Well,
Why would you be excluded?
I'm a vet, dude. I've
Ray-
been here for a long time.
Ray's a true vet. The rest of us, I think.
Well, there you
mean-
had it. Ray's been doing this forever.
So, I know that several of us prior to actually starting to play D&D had spent time listening to D&D related content. So, I wouldn't say that we were completely new. Yeah, completely green in this scenario.
I believe that there was kind of like a spectrum for each one of us of where we fell along that. I was haha, you laugh, but seriously, I was a complete and total beginner to D&D, where you had Ray, a seasoned vet. He did come in a little bit later, but as we've added, I was probably the newest to it at all to begin with.
I also, prior to playing, I actually really hadn't listened to any D&D, content or watched anything. I really walked into it with no knowledge and kind of just got a player's handbook and followed what it said while I was on a road trip. And so my first character sheet, Lilia, I did it while I was in the car on a road trip. Just had so much time to read through the book. But yeah, no, Harrison he hit me up one day and he said, "Hey, we're going to be starting up, we want to start playing D&D on Sunday nights. What do you think about that?" And I said, sure, why not? Like, I've always really liked, I'm a theater kid, so I've always liked being and getting to play other people.
Sadness,
So-
forever alone. We all know that struggle.
Hello, darkness.
All of us have been involved in theater at some point in our lives. All of us have
And,
partaken of the theater drug.
Yes.
I was going to say the sweet, sweet fruit, but
And yet we still suck at improv.
Improv is my point.
Improv.
I know, because you were over there I'm gonna do this and this and this, and then Harrison's like, "Okay, what do you do, RJ?" I'm like, hold on, let me get a hold of you next week with an idea of maybe where I'm going with that."
So yeah, that is how I got into D&D, and ever since then, I've had a ton of fun with it. I'm actually going to be DMing a podcast that's going to be coming out pretty soon, another one here on the Realms and Nerds channel, and it's going to be pretty kick-ass.
Yeah, we're actually going to get back to that in a little bit. We'll circle back around to that.
I was introduced to D&D by Rick and Harrison, who listened to D&D podcast, and I really, really enjoyed listening to it. I had a lot of fun and I learned a lot from listening to them. So I went out and I bought a player's handbook, and I read it like it was the Bible. And I memorized a bunch of crap from it. And it goes without saying, but I'm the meticulous one in this group who's a little anal about following rules, and I have to restrain myself a lot. But I'm getting better at it.
We have other names for them, but we'll keep it to ourselves.
Yeah, let's not go into that.
I think the best story as far as getting into D&D is to follow kind of the train of how we decided to actually start doing this podcast, specifically pertaining to Harrison and I. So, as Ash mentioned, we both have listened to D&D podcasts for several years, I think about 4 or 5 years now. And over time, we started talking. We're like, yeah, it'd be cool to like play D&D. And I'd be like, yeah, like it'd be cool if we do a podcast or something, because I like editing audio, but I never do anything music related, and I think it'd be easier, which, fun fact, it's not. And so, about a year and a half ago, end of 2017, good old Harrison got hitched, and for my best man gift to him, I got him the Player's Handbook and Monster Manual.
I bought the Monster Manual, actually.
It was a group effort.
Yeah, it's always a group effort.
But it was spearheaded by RJ.
It was mostly my way of saying, hey, I'd actually like to move forward and actually do what we've been talking about doing for 2 years now. And
Solid move.
yeah, about 3 months later is, I think, three and a half months later is when we recorded our first episode. Mid-March, early March.
And we've been at it ever since.
Yeah, it's been a little bit inconsistent at times.
Particularly in editing and uploading.
That's a statement.
That is a statement.
That is a statement that exists.
And it has been kind of difficult with 6 people that all have busy lives, getting all of us in the same room at the same time to record sessions. There's definitely been some hurdles with that.
What? I thought we each recorded this in individual rooms throughout the week.
So we can afford to do that.
Because that's hurts. I'd like to bring up a little fun story, or I don't know if it's really fun, but
It's a
I'll
story.
bring up a story.
You're really selling people on this
I'm
story,
selling people on this. So,
Oh yeah, tell me more.
as Bronson mentioned not terribly long ago, Ray jumped on board about episode 12.
I like how you can remember that.
I'm the one that spends the most time with this content,
It's a good
so I
point.
hope so. We had Ray over, and we recorded the first episode with him. That was the episode that introduced him, and the next 2 weeks, Ray was, like, out of state. So we introduced him, and then chaos.
I was up north, and
you were going
I was
somewhere.
getting engaged.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
How
Important
dare
things.
you?
Yeah, how dare you
shame.
get engaged after your character gets married?
For shame.
But that's just like I think my favorite example of us running into bumps along the road with recording.
That's true, but some of the bumps have been kind of fun, though. We've had a lot. I think some of our best moments on the podcast have been, like, just sort of spur of the moment, or things that kind of got twisted around and happened by accident have really turned into fun moments.
You mean like when everyone forgets their dice?
Never once have I done that.
You're going to forget your dice for like a month straight now that you said that.
Booga, booga, booga.
All right, so I would like to know, what's your favorite NPC that we've had in this game, or that I've created to put in here?
The stoner necromancer dude?
What's his name? Jairus?
Jairus? Something like that?
Yeah.
Jairus.
Oh,
yeah.
fuck's
Jairus.
sake.
He's
Oh, for
super
real.
good, and I love him.
That has to probably be.
That might
That's
be
one of our
mine, but I kind of want some diversity in our answers.
That has to be, his episode has to be like one of our best episodes, though.
It's
TBH.
it's a fun episode. I really
Ansel was
promoted
a
that one.
fantastic NPC. I like Ansel. Ansel has worked his way into, I guess, being kind of more of a. We've seen him more than once at this point.
Yep.
And he has a backstory with Sibo, and he's commissioned weapons for Sibo and Mikael at this point. So.
Roland, may he rest in peace, is one of my favorite NPCs we ever had.
ROP!
Yeah, I know I ripped everybody's hearts just right out of their chest with that one.
So I think that'll be my answer
If I don't
For
go,
$500, please, Alex.
if I don't go with Roland, I'd probably have to actually go with Jack. Our freaking
Solid non-comedic character move.
the freaking enemy of ours, or I should say of Jones, that destroyed us and we haven't seen since.
He's like Bear Grylls in black leather.
Yes.
Yeah, this hunt that has, well, it's more of us who have been hunted, with Jack is, something that, I don't know if you guys have questions about it, but we, as the cast, definitely do have a lot of questions about that. And we're pretty excited to see where that storyline's going to take us.
Yes.
Yeah, who the fuck is Jack? Where did he get his guns? How powerful is he?
Where did he go?
Where did he come from? Where did he go?
Where did he come from? Tell me, Jack! No!
Yeah. Yeah, and he's definitely, I mean, I've had a couple, I think there's been 2 really big points that I've left on, sort of untended. One was Jack, and the other one was, the thing. You guys didn't really even understand what was going on, but when you went through that portal...
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Flooded the
I have
city?
Flooded
been
the
waiting to
I've been
figure out
thinking
where
about that
will
a lot.
connect.
So, I guess it's kind of a good segue into this for me to talk about a little bit about plans going forward. I wasn't planning to talk about that this early on, but since you segued me in so well. So, our plan is kind of leading forward in this is what we've now called the Return of Ornan as this campaign is somewhat of a longer story. I developed it as a longer story, and it's been taking a while to flesh out. However, I really want to give everybody else in the group a chance to really, take the wheel for a little bit. And on top of that, it's really just like building out the world. It's fun to have people contribute to the story in other ways. So what we're going to do with the campaign going forward is this kind of hunt for Malleopolis that the boys have been on. When we eventually wrap up this particular arc of the story, we are going to step away from Ornan for a little bit, and one of the other guys is going to take over for a story, and then once that story has wrapped up, then we're going to come back to Ornan, and we'll have another leg of that campaign. Because, like I said, it's a much longer story. Ornan is, at this point, the big evil in the universe, and he's got a lot of lieutenants working for him, so it's not a story that's just going to wrap up quickly. On top of that, we are, eventually, as Brandon mentioned, we're going to have a campaign coming out concurrent, which I won't say a whole lot about because I want to, let you experience that for yourselves. But just saying that one takes place at the same time that Ornan is taking place. It's going to have some tie-ins to the main campaign of Ornan in a very direct way. And so, like Brandon said, you keep an eye out for that, and that'll be coming up soon.
So, I guess real quick before I go into what I was going to go into, do any of the people that are working on a campaign want to briefly discuss that
trailers
that they're working on a campaign or something? Like give them an idea of what it's going to be about.
Plug it, buddy, plug it.
Let's start with our next DM.
I guess at the time, let's just have Bronson do a quick preview of his since he's going to be next. I think everything else is probably far enough out that we don't need to preview it yet.
Seems about right.
So, upcoming, I have planned a more or less almost an entire new format of play. It'll require team dynamics, it'll require skill, it'll require luck, it'll require quite a bit of alcohol.
For the characters,
as
or
any
for
good
us?
campaign does.
Both. Each and every character will play the role as a pirate on a pirate ship. There intends to be more or less a bit of sketchy backgrounds behind each character. Each one should be introduced as an individual kind of like snapshot of their lives leading up to their introduction or exposition into the story. And after that, of course, follow the team dynamics moving forward. But it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope it's enjoyable for everyone playing. It should add a different level of dynamics. Anyway, that's what I have planned coming up. It's called Seafarers and Scallywags, and should be quite a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we're all looking forward to it.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Dude.
So, real quick, since you mentioned kind of the concurrent aspect of Brandon's campaign, I wanted to quick give listeners, since we've had so many kind of one-offs or beginnings of really mini not one-shots, but I think sort of one-shots.
Yeah, and you and I were discussing this the other day.
So giving them kind of an idea of the time frame of when the different things take place. Some of these have not seen the light of day for listeners yet, but it's not any groundbreaking big campaign things, so that's why I don't mind mentioning them here. So I'm going to go chronologically. So as mentioned in the episodes of the Ornon campaign, we are currently in the 7th age of the world, which the world is named Prydia, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Prydia.
Prydia. I always pronounce it wrong. That's why I want. Yeah, I always.
It's two hard syllables.
Prydia.
Prydia.
Prydia. Yeah, so in the world of Prydia, we are currently with the Return of Ornon campaign and Brandon's campaign in the 7th age. So backtracking into the first age and the beginning of the 2nd age, we did our 2-part Halloween special at the end of last year. That takes place then. One of the ones that we haven't put out, called the Thunderlock Bar Crawl, is going to take place in the 3rd age of the world. And I DM'd that one. One that Ash DM'd, which is our to-date biggest group of player characters that we've ever had, takes place in the 4th age. That one is called Treasure of the Broken Horde. In the 5th age, we've got the one that Bronson DM'd that seems to be fairly popular among listeners based on the Harridan Hills Far. And that takes place in the 5th age. And then in the 7th age, which is where we are, so the present compared to the Return of Ornon, we also have our Winter Holiday special that Ray DM'd, takes place then. We have one that we recorded for St. Patrick's Day that will come out, I don't know when, that takes place in the 7th age as well. And the first one that I did, the Hall of the Goblin Lord, it's not the 7th age?
No.
Oh, well, I just assumed it did, because it was in the...
That takes place in, like, the 1st or 2nd age.
Okay, so that takes place in the 1st age, the 2nd age. Is it the 1st or the 2nd age?
2nd age.
The 2nd age? Okay, it takes place. Okay, it takes place in the 2nd age. And then, like I said, the one that I DM'd, the Hall of the Goblin Lord that I did with Cole and 2 of my sisters, that one is also in the present. And then in the future, in the 9th age, is the Zarthamus one that I did with Ray and Ash and my other sister. So that's about where we're at with that. I know that's not the most exciting part of this episode, probably. I'll probably make a nice little graphic for the timeline at some point with more details of, like, events and things. But I just wanted to kind of give listeners a better idea. The fact that all the stuff that we have done and plan to do is all connected in some way, taking place on this planet.
All right.
That was a sentence.
Stumble across the finish line.
Yeah. As I do.
At least he made it. At least he made it.
As I do.
Yes, he made it. And yeah, I've got some extra little bits of lore and things that didn't make it into the podcast, but are still parts of the canon, and we'll include that in the infographics for those of you that are nerds and really want to dig in.
You'll probably have to wait a little bit for that infographic.
I do have a question. When you say Prydia is the world we're in, is that the continent we're on?
No,
or literally the entire world?
That is the world.
Okay.
It's like Earth.
I just need to know that. All right.
Yeah.
All right, so here's an interesting question for, I guess now everybody can answer this. Do you prefer being a character or being a DM?
I
Pro and con.
No, I don't even need to do that. I can just say outright, I much prefer being a player character than a DM.
Same here.
I'm halvesies because I love being a playable character and interacting with the world, but I also love the idea of making my own campaign and setting like the stage for what the characters can do and having all these little like secrets that the characters might find out or might not find out as they go along.
You know, I have to somewhat agree with Ash. For me, it is extremely enjoyable to, be able to create, your portion of this world and really bring it to life and, make something of it. But at the same time, there really is a joy in getting to explore a world that, your DM's probably creating, all around you as you're going. But it's fun to, push a story and drive a story and kind of get to be the one. I mean, the DM don't make the choices, let's be honest. It's us, the PCs, who fuck everything up and drive the story right into a cliffside, so...
Fucking with DM's stories is one of my favorite parts about why I prefer being a PC.
Mm-hmm. I actually think that I really prefer being a DM. Obviously, I have not had a ton of time as a player character. I don't know, I just, I have a lot of fun sort of creating the situations and the worlds that people are going to play in, and I really enjoy having to be spontaneous and react to the people that mess everything up. And, yeah, I mean, overall, it's just, I really get a lot of enjoyment out of, just that whole process.
So, for me, I definitely like being a player character, because I just like making characters. I like making, people to put in a story, and let me tell you, I already have, 10 other characters made, just in case Brunhilde goes away.
She already has her funeral casket picked out.
Right?
Right next to her husband's.
Oh, good. That means I can kill Brunhilde now and you won't feel terrible about it. So, yeah. So what do you guys think has been the big... And this doesn't have to be you. This can be us as a group. This can be somebody else if you want to throw them under the bus. But,
Are we gonna vote a character dead? Oh, I'm kidding.
You all the weakest.
You have been voted off the island.
Guys. Let's vote a character dead.
Kidding. Listeners, listen up. Cast your votes and decide which PC is gonna end up dead. Text 555-555-5555.
what do you think that the biggest mistake or mess up on the show has been?
Oh God!
Or related
Our
to the
biggest
show.
blunder.
Do you guys remember that one time when RJ didn't have his computer plugged in and we had to read?
Also on RJ slash
That's
Joan.
also the one that's invisible on recording.
I absolutely just love how Joan burnt a forest down.
I was gonna say hot tub, but
Oh yeah, and exploded a hot
This question is just going to be how hard can we roast RJ?
Yeah, it's there's been a lot of mistakes coming from the Joan corner.
So, yes, so I was going to say the fact that my laptop wasn't plugged in and has a garbage battery, and therefore we lost half of a recording and had to re-record half of it. Also, if any listener can tell me what episode we had to re-record half of, I'll give him a shout out or something on Twitter. I don't know, but
He will make you a T-shirt.
If you can, don't promise some things that cost monetary amounts of money. I don't have that.
he will show up at your house and scrub your bathroom clean.
I
don't have time.
With his tongue, with his own personal toothbrush.
Yo, watch them live in Norway or something.
But no,
He will come clean your kitchen wearing nothing but an apron.
If any listener can tell me what episode we had to re-record, if you can figure it out, you let me know, and I'll give you a shout out on Twitter or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that one was very discouraging. Speaking of Twitter, we got a shout out from Justin, I think Mattioli.
I do not know.
I'm sure I butchered your last name. I apologize. But and he said that he loves how we use effects in post for the enemies and the NPCs, and so that's all going to RJ.
Yeah,
so
that's
big props to him for throwing that all on there.
Been the biggest, interestingly, the craziest one with that is that started with the third episode, if you're excluding the preludes of the main campaign, when we introduced Bahamut. And so I'm not going to go into what I did for the effect, because that would probably be uninteresting for about 95% of you. but it is by far the most challenging one, especially because it's one that I have had to do again with the in the wedding episode. He made a return appearance, so anytime it pops up, I have to do that effect, and it's a bit complicated to pull that one off. But it's been fun. It was something that in other D&D podcasts I'd listened to, they'd have scenarios where they're in like a room where I felt like having some effects would really help with the ambiance and the feeling of them actually being there. And so I did that. And I think I utilized that starting with when we broke into the bank and we had all those like small corridors that we were navigating around and had the room separated by the wall and adding like distortion and echoing reverb and stuff. So that was all good and fun. And also my favorite one so far has been the trapper dude that showed up when we were in Timber's Crest again. And I pitched down Harrison's voice just a couple steps so to add a little more variety to his about 3 character voice. And it to me it sounded a little bit like John Cena, and it made my day. It's John Cena. And so I think to date that's probably my favorite one I've done.
I think
it's the hardest one to pick out too.
I think we decided that canonically that guy is John Cena in this world.
Are you sure about that?
I mean, I can't see him, so I'm not for certain, but I make the rules, so I get to say that that's a yes.
I would like to get into our favorite memories in the game, like
in the story.
Like our favorite memories, because I really want to talk about that.
All right, well, why don't you lead us off then?
Ah, crap! I had it in my mind, but then you guys started.
Was it perchance Joan blowing up a hot tub?
That's my second favorite memory.
Wow, I thought that was your favorite.
No, that's not my favorite. Give me a moment. I got to remember it.
All right.
I can quick scoop mine in there. It is actually not from the main campaign. My favorite one so far was the Harrington Hills Far, which was the one we recorded up north, and honestly, were most of us a little drunk while recording. But the best part was Kyle pretty much being baffled at when the mother goat kept birthing demon goats.
Yes, that was awesome.
That's probably one of my favorite moments. Honestly, Kyle I've listened to that one a few times. 90% because of how much I love listening to Kyle play.
I love listening to Kyle laugh personally.
That too, yeah.
I loved the way that we played through our first dungeon, because some of us were true first to our characters, and then we were secondly true to playing through dungeons. So at first we had our Dragonborn shatter a wall by punching his way through. All of a sudden we find a door, we become cautious of traps, It was...
No, we don't.
We genuinely flowed along.
We didn't. We had acid sprayed in Joshua's face because he didn't give a fuck.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That's very true.
But I agree with what you're getting.
There was something genuine and original to it.
Yeah, and
it's like we had a mystery behind every corner, and that's something that I think that I love about our playstyle. And I think that we can still have that.
And, tagging on to that, one of the, I guess, an ongoing favorite memory, one of the things I really enjoy has been seeing how all of us have grown as PCs and DMs as far as just the way that we approach the game. I know personally, like, my first few sessions, I was definitely a little bit more timid, but, I realized that you really do have to kind of push yourself out and get the story going. You have to take control of it. And I think that has been a great memory for me.
I just real quick, before we get away from it, I just like to interject a comment, a quick shout out, because Bronson brought up our original campaign, the mini campaign we did to kind of test out the waters. That one I did not write because I was looking for something a little bit easier to kind of get things going, even though I've incorporated it pretty heavily into my overall campaign. So that one was called The Burial Mound of Gilliard Wolf Clan, written by Josh Burnett. And I just wanted to give him a quick shout out so that I'm not taking credit for his work, because it is a very well done little dungeon.
It is.
I wouldn't say it's my favorite memory, because I can't remember what the hell my stupid memory was I had, but one of my favorite memories is when we were being chased by Jack and his band of misfits through the town after robbing the bank, And Joan managed to conjure up the demon unicorn of fire that ran through all of
Hold
the
on, it's
all
not
the
a demon
burdens.
unicorn of fire. It's just a fiery unicorn.
Well, the fiery unicorn of awesomeness ran through a bunch of buildings, and I particularly enjoyed that moment.
Oh, that was pretty
The
cool.
idea of lighting up this entire town on fire as we're running away.
it was good, and then I ruined it with my subpar music that I underscored it with.
But I think
Recurring theme
that's
there.
another great thing with Joan's character is the wild magic. I mean, that's part of your wizardry. But that is made for some interesting content for everyone. So
Yeah, it has, because one of the cool things with wild magic is when you do the roll, it tells you what the effect is going to be, but it gives you nothing in the book about how big the effect has to be. And so that was one where the unicorn was probably one of the biggest examples of him throwing out a wild magic roll, and I got to really run with that. But I've had a lot of fun with those, just, getting to choose sort of the effect that has.
I think my favorite memory is when we had that big battle with Ash's PC's uncle.
Oh,
That whole big battle was really awesome.
The battle with the skeleton horde?
Yeah, that was a lot of
yeah,
fun.
I like that.
That one was great until I edited it. That one was one of the worst editing experiences I've ever had so far on this show.
Another really good memory is when we were in that stupid necromancer's home, the doped up guy. What is that?
Jarrus.
Jarrus's place. And Harrison was like, "We're gonna have fun with this," and created 3 Jarruses. Who was the other?
He created one.
He created one, and then was it Joan who became? No,
Yes.
Sibo.
No, Joan.
Oh, what-
Joan,
Oh,
because
sorry,
my
what's
favorite
Joan?
part about that entire experience is I spent half of the episode being an audience member.
Yes, because once he turned himself into Jarrus, and I took over.
I
And
just let Harrison run wild with that.
that was a lot of fun.
That was one of my favorite memories of Harrison just taking control and doing his own thing. That was super fun.
That was a lot of fun. So I think I've had a lot of fun with various points and different NPCs and stuff. I think my favorite moment, because I like making these interesting choices for people. I think my favorite one that I've done is when Bahamut tells Mikhail that he has to kill this guy at the wedding.
Such a good moment.
Because after I finished that whole audio bit with his speech and telling Mikhail that he needs to kill this guy, then we had like a solid probably 10 seconds of silence in the room when everybody's just looking at me like, what?
That whole episode, I
was
think
great.
I think to date that's still probably my favorite episode. That or episode 16, the one in which we spend time with Jarrus, the necromancer.
Yes.
Yeah, you liked it when I came in. Come on, man.
Yeah, oh, for sure, man. I love having you on the podcast.
Another thing I'd like to talk about is our biggest, like, holy shit moments, like, took us by surprise. My biggest one was at the bank when Harrison killed off everybody's favorite character as we were leaving.
You mean as we watched Roland's, what was it, his headless
Roland's
corpse
head.
or just his
No,
When
it was
did he
just
kill
his head.
Leroy?
It was his head.
No, it's like, oh, by the way, Roland's head just comes flying down from up above, and there's Jack, and we were all like, no! No!
I'm like, well, shit.
It's like, fucking A. Because I loved Roland. Roland was awesome. He just kills him.
montage
Like
of
that.
main characters losing their favorite sidekicks.
I wasn't into the podcast when this happened, but I listened to it. When you guys went to that underwater city, that like
Oh,
That, like-
Yeah.
when you guys when you guys went inside that rift,
Oh, through
Right.
the portal,
yeah.
Through the
Yeah.
water, yeah.
that was that made me. I can't wait to see where that goes. That was like, what the hell?
Me
what the hell's
neither.
going on here,
Yeah,
man?
I did not
That looks
expect us
good.
to end up in some weird dimension with eel people. But there we were.
I thought I made that shit up in my sleep.
I mean, you might have been drunk while we were doing that.
Yeah, no, it was such like that was a fun one to just kind of dangle and then like say, oh, we'll get to that later, because I guess I did a good job, because there's been a lot of questions from the group about when we're going to get back to that.
I'm sure I had a different one in mind earlier when I was thinking about like plot twists on our show, but for me, offhand, I would say it's probably the OG biggest oh shit moment when Harrison took the concept of the dagger and the book being in Joshua's bag and turning it into kind of the catalyst for Ornan being released was kind of the big oh shit moment. Oh wait! No, now I remember what it was. So that's my number 2. My number 1 was actually in our Halloween special. I don't know how during the session I never caught on to this, but the reveal that Governor Gill was Gilliard Wolf Clan, I was taken aback.
Yeah.
That one got me.
I did that very carefully to try to sprinkle the breadcrumbs, but not like just straight up reveal it.
Which, by the way, if you're a person that skipped over our specials and one-offs, for shame. And big spoiler, I guess.
The moments for me are different because I am the one telling the story. So for me, it's really when you guys throw me a big curveball and I have to sort of figure it out. So when we did that episode, I think it was episode 3, when they went into the underground area and fought the like kind of mushroom people that were in there.
Dungeon Crawler
Oh my God,
episode.
yeah,
So that'd be episode 3.
I apparently didn't realize how incompetent they were going to be. So all of a sudden I was faced with the possibility of a whole host of characters that we had just introduced dying. And I wanted to give them a second chance at that. So I kind of had to come up with this mechanic of Mikhail getting a little bit of a second chance to right some wrongs. Otherwise, we would have been creating a lot of new characters, and who knows the way the arc would have gone from there.
You know, and on that episode, I actually, I missed that week of recording. So I come back the next week, and the guys are like, "Oh yeah, last week, by the way, we died." Oh, cool! You know, and then
We're just here
Harrison's
to
like,
watch you.
so then Harrison has to make some random white creature that has to follow me back so I can do something kinda interesting.
You gotta earn that XP, buddy. It's not gonna just get handed to you on a silver
don't
platter.
just get what we get. I actually wanted to talk about like what kind of game mechanics we want to see in the future, things we're kind of hoping our characters might be able to do or something. I don't know. Personally, I'd like to see more magic weapons introduced. Not necessarily like ones from you could find in like the player's hand guide or the dungeon master's hand guide, but just like made up weapons or items that, I don't know, just make the game more interesting.
I mean, I'm not going to get too much into it since we already teased it, and I don't want to give anything away, plus I don't know much myself. But I'm really excited for the mechanics that Bronson says that he is adding, that he's kind of come up with or adapted for his campaign. So when we get to that, I'm going to be excited. I'm excited to see how that works out.
Yeah, as far as weapons and stuff goes, I mean, the door is open for basically anything at this point. I've already shown that we're kind of playing Calvin Ball with this main campaign in terms of
double-sided lightsabers.
Let's do it.
I mean, you know,
It's a plus sign lightsaber.
you know, with having 6 shooters and, you know, different like things that I've given people in terms of like weapons that they have and additions and things like that. So we're gonna have some fun with it for sure.
Leonardo da Vinci style tank.
One of you picked up the expanding shield that
That would be Bronson.
Yeah, that
Paladin had, right?
That'd be Mikhail picked that up.
Yep.
Mechanics that we'd like to see added in the future.
The future. I'm not gonna ask.
I mean, we've had a few, but I definitely would like to. I think that some puzzles.
Oh yeah.
Gonna turn into some Legend of Zelda shit over here.
I am so down for that.
You know, I think that we would be able to work through those things, and I think that that's a bit of a challenge that we haven't quite really undertaken yet.
I do like the puzzle things, although with experience with some of our one-offs with puzzle-oriented ones...
You don't plan for much more than the one puzzle. We ain't that smart.
Yeah, no, I've DM'd a couple, and they are pretty lengthy. But I mean, this is a long-form campaign, so that actually isn't like a big problem.
I actually really like the puzzle you did with me, Ray, and Mandy.
Yeah,
the one you created or whatever.
The circular room.
The circular room, yeah. You had to
I
open
very
the
much
right
liked
door.
it. And then you guys totally broke the system.
We did break
I did
the
not
system.
anticipate you guys going into separate rooms from each other. But anyways, that's not here nor there. I guess I'd like to see, it's not new, but like the return of a little bit more of like traditional dungeon crawling style, like we had in the one episode where Brandon wasn't available before Ray hopped on board, where we just kind of trudged through hack and slash style.
Yeah, I think that, that is kind of part of the heart of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, classic D&D.
Yeah. Did any of you, we've kind of talked about it a little bit, did any of you have questions for me in terms of DM things or story-wise or...
Yeah, if you were to project kind of like a percentage, it feels like we're getting pretty close to that final confrontation with Malleoculus. Would you say that that's fair, or is it going to be like when you're playing through Batman Arkham games, where the closer you feel like you're getting to the end, the more you are relatively getting further away from the end of the game, and all of a sudden you've opened up all the side quests, and instead of the 80% of the main story you thought you had, you've only done 20%.
I think at this point you guys are definitely on the
home stretch.
Getting towards.
I'd say getting close to the home stretch, but like definitely you're at the point where unless you take a drastic right turn to where I think you're going with this, you're probably going to be getting into the end game for this arc of the campaign fairly soon.
Endgame.
Endgame is also a word. We don't need to
Yeah.
TM that.
Since one of my favorite aspects, at least about this form of storytelling, is the collaborative aspect of the storytelling. Obviously, though, it's based on a pre-existing like narrative that you have written out.
Mm-hmm.
How much have we deviated from that over the course of the podcast?
So I am, as a person and as a creator, very spontaneous and not organized. And so I know a lot of people, when they write campaigns, like to get really detailed and write a lot of notes and like have everything planned out. And, going into the game, they've got maps drawn up and they've got, ideas of like how everything's going to go. I chose to kind of lean into the fact that I am not a very organized person. And so I've been taking this really collaboratively as a storyteller and trying not to. I have story beats planned out, but not so much the in-between. It's kind of like, sort of, you can think like points on the map, but the path to get there is sort of open. Like a great example is I kind of so I had the idea for Jack as this villain, and I had the idea of him being involved kind of as sort of a shadowy figure in some kind of an organization. But the sort of motif of that Western and the exact way it played out and the organization he was involved in and et cetera, all of that was tied to the backstory that RJ came up with for Joan. And so I kind of just ran with that and turned that into a whole thing. And after that, when you guys left with the whole wagon full of treasure, what happened after that was really heavily influenced from Brandon's backstory for Sibo and talking about, all of these other gnomes that exist in the forest. So I kind of created this whole group and et cetera, and, it kind of grew from that. So
yeah, and for me, in that situation, Sibo's backstory, I had never, this outlaw group that steals from the rich and gives to the poor. That was a personal quality of Sibo's, and, Harrison took full control and, kind of just put that into Sibo's backstory. So that was just something for me to roll with and, fleshes out my character and the story at the same time.
Bit of a tangent, just because it kind of follows this train of the story.
mm-hmm.
I did really like the fact that one of the aspects of SIBO and this group organization that you kind of came up with that he's a part of, the Hoods of Robin, the fact that, like, there was some joke somebody threw out about them training fighting off bears and things. And the fact that it actually, like, became an actual aspect of, like, that's something that they do when we encountered those bears. I loved that goof turning into an actual, like, aspect of that. That was very good.
Didn't they kind of abandon us when we fell into the pit with the bears?
Yeah, but that was kind of on SIBO's command.
They just knew better than to go down into the pit.
Yeah, they've been fighting off bears.
They've dealt with enough bears.
It's a bear pit.
It's like, this
Don't go in the bear pit.
They never leave out any
is
picnic
their rite of
baskets.
passage. We've already gone through ours.
But yeah, so I think that overall I have not created the story like in incredible detail too far in advance. A lot of it is really either in reaction to or inspired by things that you guys all do as player characters in the story.
Has there been any, since you've been kind of putting it as this is the destination, the road to the destination is up to you, have there been any of these, like, destinations that you have had planned out that we completely, like, go around and don't even go to because of our actions? Like, has that happened at all? Or have you've been pretty consistent of wrangling us to the destination that you intend?
I don't think you've completely missed any destinations or, like, places that I've tried to get you to.
Okay.
There's definitely been a few instances which I won't get into, just, getting into the woulda coulda, but
For sure.
There's been a few places where I had kind of envisioned you either taking a different path or, investigating things differently or interacting differently, and instead we ended up with a very different thing or a different outcome just because you chose to approach the situation differently and it just wouldn't have fit to include that.
E.g. the Halloween special? Probably the most infamous example of that.
The Halloween special. Yes, that was, I guess I will. That's a good one. That's an easy one to talk about. The hotel scene was only supposed to be 5, maybe 10 minutes. It was gonna be such a small part. I had planned out some other stuff in the town, but you guys just got really zoned in on what was going on in the hotel, and so I just kind of had to roll with it.
They thought they were in Luigi's mansion, bro.
You completely...
I really did.
The DM underestimated our ability to tomfool around.
So yeah, so it was
underestimated our fuckery.
and I think that the episode as a whole turned out well, but it
For
was
sure.
definitely an instance where
Which, for our listeners, just kind of a teaser, there is an extended edition of that episode.
we're
I
gonna
don't
release
know.
that.
Yeah, that's something I've been trying to figure out. That's something we still have to discuss, like, if we want to do any patron support content and how we go about that. So that's just something for y'all listeners to kind of, like, let it marinate that we have something that could go.
We
that
have
could be available
something
for
you might
you.
potentially want
that you might like, but it's also
That's
You get to hear us cost a little bit more. Money.
potentially
that is actually good. If you want to, tweet at us or DM or email or whatever the case may be, we would be interested to hear, like, is additional content something that you would even be interested in if we, like, maybe did, like, blooper reels or recorded extra episodes that were, like, Patreon only or whatever. We're, at this point, we're just entirely doing this for the fun of it, and we love recording the podcast, and we don't want to pump you for money by any means, but if that's
We'd love to just pump you, really.
zing
got him. No,
but no, like, we appreciate you listening to us, and just your listenership is incredibly important to us, so we don't want you to feel like we're trying to just turn this into a a cash cow by any means. We love recording for you, but if that's something you'd be interested in, we definitely would like to know about that.
Yeah, we would not be opposed to you being interested in giving us money if you want.
It really helps our self-esteem if you let us know you're there.
We don't even want the money now. We just want to know that you're willing
We
to
just
give
want
it.
to know people actually listen and care. We have self-actualization issues.
Don't leave us hanging in suspense.
If nobody tweets at me, do I even exist?
If any of you could play as a character that is not one of your characters, who would you most like to play as? And this can be any character from anything we've done for the podcast.
Let's start with
so
PCs first.
Sure, yeah, let's stick
the
with
NPCs
just
will probably be more
PCs, because they'll be... Yeah, NPCs are way more interesting in that regard.
Okay, so if you could be somebody else's player character, who do you want to be?
From any of the... like our main campaign, Prelude characters, any of our one-offs, who would you most like to play as? But it can't be a character that, one of your characters that you've created.
I would like to play as Joan, personally, because I would love to use wild magic more often just to see what would happen. I'd love to see if I get turned into a potted plant or if I destroy a continent.
So what you'd like to say is that you'd like to be the guy at the keyboard saying, "Let's see what this does."
Exactly. I think that'd be tons of fun to play with.
Power.
I was gonna say Joan has a certain level of sadness that I find absolutely entertaining, and I think it would be very fun to play him just for the aspect of he's
so sad.
He has a lot of issues. He's very familiar with them. And more or less, he's not only let them move into his house, he let them destroy the house, burn it to the ground. He now
Locked
lives
him
in the
out.
basement. They hang out and peer pressure him to torture himself. And
Well,
that is Joan dealing with
This
his
got into a
issues.
real NF Mansion scenario, huh?
Either way, I think he is a real clockwork of problems, and I think he's kind of funny.
I think I'd like to play our resident Danny DeVito, Josh and me Rockhammer.
Yes.
God.
He's funny.
He's a wild card for sure.
I'm the trash man.
the trash man. And I'm here to take all your trash.
Oh, and probably all this other stuff in your house.
And all this other stuff you got now is very nice.
One red sock in the laundry.
You know what? I think that I would like to be... I gotta remember his name real quick.
I'll interject them while you're thinking. I think I would have really liked to play Dracarys. I mean, again, he's got that, that real classic tragic backstory feel, lone survivor kind of thing. And he's just like a giant, kind of just like a giant rage monster. And I feel like I could have a lot of fun with that.
For his character, I was going for Dragonborn John Rambo.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's basically about right. I think I could have a ton of fun playing that.
Mine was, I would like to do Jacob Frost from our Winter Holiday special, especially if I have Karak with me, because that whole kind of concept of the keeping him subdued with alcoholism was a very good aspect, and it was a very not aspect. That's a bad aspect. It was a very good mechanic that they kind of developed, and I would enjoy running with that.
A quick side note: a mechanic that I really enjoyed was when Joan couldn't get drunk.
Yeah,
For 25
classic
days, he
Joan
was sad as hell.
I would have actually loved to see how that would have played out in a long form thing, the whole Jacob Frost thing, because what I was definitely going for was because I'm basically increasing his strength and lowering his intellect.
Yep.
I was trying to min-max that to the most.
It was already there.
You were close.
Yeah, I was pretty close.
yeah.
So I would have loved to see how that plays out long term. Just keeping him at that state whenever we need him to be battle ready would have
Yeah.
been a lot of fun.
Maybe someday I'll put together an actual campaign and we'll use those characters, except for maybe your Christmas character.
They're all
RJ.
half of them are Christmas pun names.
So for me, actually, I think one of my favorite characters so far has been Holly Ivy.
Ivy.
Ivy, yeah, Holly
It's a pun
Ivy.
based on the song
Yeah.
The Holly and the Ivy. Yes.
she had like a very cute innocence to her on top of like this just ever so snarky like tiny. She's this tiny little
sadistic.
What are you? Not a fairy.
She's like an elf, like a Santa elf.
She's a tiny little elf that has like is so cute but just so snarky and screams at big guys in their heads.
Yeah.
If we were in the Dungeons and Dragons universe, who would be everybody's race? Like, what race would everybody be?
Like if we were who we are currently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Us, but in the world of D&D, what race would we be?
Okay, that's kind of projecting just because we can't choose who we are when we're born. So, which race do we think we project our personalities into bodies?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Way to take the piss out of it.
Yeah.
It's one of the classic, what this would you be?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Is the rule here we can't answer for our own?
Yeah.
Like, are we answering for us or are we answering for not us?
I think you're answering for you.
Okay.
Well, I'm an elf. To my heart
I'll say
already.
if you said anything
I'd probably
else,
be a drow, just because I spend most of my time in the dark if I can. In the dark.
I know this is like really basic, but I think I probably would be a human, honestly.
I think you're well-rounded enough.
I know that's like the basic answer, but
I think that I would be a tabaxi.
Very interesting choice.
solitary cat.
You know, friendly when I want to be,
A douchebag.
douchebag
picture
when
you
I
more as
want
a-
to be.
I think I'd be a water genasi.
Yeah.
I feel like that probably fits. Go with the flow.
I mean, I honestly would probably be a dragonborn because I don't know. I just everything to do with dragons just like fascinates me and makes me like I don't know. I just love
I would
Sure.
be a dragonborn
Oh,
because I love dragons.
dragons. I'd be a dragon because I love dragons. I mean, I don't know. There's no real race
It's
that
fine.
I identify with.
It's a fun question, Ash. Don't feel bad for your reason.
Either way, you would be fascinated with magic.
All right,
I'm
Ray.
certain of
Oh,
that.
for sure.
I think that I would definitely be a Furbolg, the forest giants.
Yes.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's pretty.
I see it.
I give that one a hearty. Yeah, that's about right, bud.
Seems about right to me.
You had your answer to this question ready when you asked
It was
us.
a loaded
but,
question.
Of course he did.
But I've always been I've lived like probably half of my life in the woods. To be honest with you, I'm probably the most rangerous and one of the most outdoorsy of us.
Does a bear shit in the woods?
Only if I let it.
And not as frequently as I do.
So you said, Harrison, that we were going to touch a little bit on Brandon's campaign. Do we want to wrap up with that then?
yeah, I think I just wanted Brandon to give just a little bit of an intro on what's going to be going on and what people can expect from this story.
So, we started up a campaign with Ash, RJ, Harrison, and myself. I'm DMing it, and those are my three PCs that I am guiding through another continent in Pridea. This is the continent of Vasanoka. They don't even know it yet, but they are on the edge of a extremely large crisis, and
Oh.
Huh.
Oh, we know it.
and Lou, his undead friend Kroll the Fallen, and his very close compatriot and friend Ben, who I guess you'll have to learn more about their relationship when you listen to the first episode. They are tasked with going out into the land and finding the evil. That is their...
If that
Wow.
ain't the most basic
Hey, man.
That was
plot
literally
point
They gotta
you've
start
ever-
somewhere.
That was any
That sold me. I'm
game
going to listen for
ever.
sure.
That's the basic pitch.
Hey, that is their goal as of right now. But like Harrison said earlier, this campaign is taking place at the exact same time as the Ornine campaign. And down the road, Harrison and I have been talking. We have some pretty cool crossover stuff. Obviously, that's going to be a while down the road, but I'm really excited to we're also going to be dealing with Ornon in some aspects in this campaign, and I'm really excited to see how it all ties together and how it all comes into one triumphant story. So I'm excited, and I hope you guys are excited too.
So, just to wrap things up, I'd just like to say that we are all very excited about how far we've come. Like we've kind of been talking about, it's been an interesting ride with most of us learning D&D as we are recording and playing the campaign. But we've had a ton of fun with it, and we are very excited to see where this goes in the future. And we hope that all of you will stick with us as we continue on that process.
Please.
We have to beg for their views.
Acknowledge our existence.
The cat, hang in there.
Please love us.
Acknowledge our existence.
We'll get tolerable eventually.
Feed us so we have self-actualization.
No, but in all seriousness, we are very grateful that you've stuck with us this far, and we hope that you will continue to do so in the future. So thanks for being a loyal listener base.
And make sure to spread the word.
This is
Yes.
Sibo saying thank you.
Do we really?
This is RJ saying thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. All
Well,
right.
that petered out quick. All right, bye, everybody.
Do you like video games? What about podcasts that talk about video games? Well, you should listen to Lit Gaming Arena. What is the LGA podcast, you ask? Well, we're a weekly podcast where we bring you the facts of video games. We talk about new games. We talk about old games. We even discuss the news. And contrary to how this promo sounds, we don't take ourselves too seriously. So come check us out at litgamingarena.com or search for Lit Gaming Arena on any of the major podcast platforms such as iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are sold. And don't forget, that's Lit Gaming Arena.
Hey everybody, RJ here. Thank you so much for tuning into our anniversary special, even though it's a couple months late. Thank you so much again for supporting us and listening to our podcast. Just a few quick things before we get into a fun little segment to kind of take us out of the show. So, first of all, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our friend Justin Mattioli. He made a fan rendition of our main theme, which is the one that you heard that opened up the show. That's our first form of fan art that we've ever received, and it's super wonderful. We actually might use it for the theme for Brandon's campaign, although I did also compose a different theme completely for that campaign, so I'm just going to leave it up to Brandon and let him figure out which one he wants to use for that. If you would like to check out Justin's work, he's a part of the podcast Lit Gaming Arena that you heard about in the promo. So just thank you once again, Justin, for that. Speaking of Brandon's campaign, the first episode is actually going to be coming out here really soon. After the anniversary special, the next episode of the podcast is going to be part of the Return of Ornon campaign, kind of. You'll figure out what I mean by that when you hear that one. And then after that is the first episode of Brandon's campaign. And then after that, it's going to be doing the alternating schedule between the two campaigns. So that's kind of what's going to happen here going forward for the podcast. Also, Ray and I are going to be starting a new podcast. It's called Cedar Country. We have already recorded the first 2 episodes. That is going to be coming out here fairly soon, so keep an eye out for that. You can find us on social media. We have a Facebook page, a Twitter account, and an Instagram account set up for it already. I'm not sure exactly where you'll find the episodes when they first come out outside of YouTube. It'll for sure be on there. So if you want to check that out, the Realms and Nerds account, I'll also probably retweet or tweet about it when the first episode comes out. So just like, if you're interested in that, it's kind of an edutainment look at country music. We'll be talking about like news, history, artists, songs, all that, whatever stuff we end up talking about. In the first episode, we kind of just go over like our favorite country music, who we are, and all that. And then in the second episode, we started talking about the history and the roots of country music. So, like I said, if you want to keep an eye out for that, that'll be coming out here soon. As we mentioned in the group audio, we're looking at starting a patron kind of supporting account, most likely through Patreon. So what we want to hear from all of you guys are ideas of like what you would like as donor content or whatever. So far, all we have is ideas. I have a little bit of a dumb recording audio when Harrison and I were testing microphones I might put up for that. And then the other thing that we have is what we've come to call the cutting room floor, which is just a bunch of little audio snippets and bits that were from the different recording sessions, whether it be just some goof that didn't really add anything and was cut for pacing, or something said during one of our breaks in the recording session, or even just like a bad flub. So all of those, I'm kind of stitching those together into a long form piece of audio for your listening enjoyment. That's actually going to be the last part of this episode, is about 10 minutes worth of this kind of concept of the cutting room floor audio. So I hope you enjoy that here, and you'll hear that in just a moment after the second promo. But real quick, I would just like to thank you all again for sticking with us for now a year plus, and for listening to this episode. Thank you to our dear friend Kyle for composing the main theme. Thank you again to Justin for your rendition of the theme. It's wonderful. We all love it. And we hope that the rest of you listening have enjoyed it as well. Once again, you can find us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Let us know what you guys want for patron content. And I will talk to you next time. Bye.
Hey guys, it's Kyle.
I'm Nick.
Do you like movies?
How about TV shows?
Pop culture?
Then check out Damn Fancy Dinosaurs.
For all your movies, TV shows, and pop culture needs,
You can find us on Podbean. Just search for Damn Fancy Dinosaurs. We're also available on Spotify and wherever you can get good podcasts.
check it out now. Remember guys, stay fancy and enjoy the rest of the show.
Hey everybody, RJ again. Real quick before we get into the cutting room floor, just a quick little heads up about the cutting room floor audio, especially the first 5, 6, 7, 8 little pieces of audio. The quality of the audio is by no means the best. Those first few specifically are actually audio of video recordings of the audio played through my computer speaker, because I was sending them as Snapchats back to the guys back before we decided to preserve these little bits of audio. So the quality is going to be pretty low compared to our current quality of recording audio and some of the later parts of this cutting room floor, so apologies in advance for the subpar quality there, but I hope you still enjoy. And now, on to the cutting room floor.
How wide is this passageway? I don't know. How wide is your mom? Next up, he did. It's already 8:30, and we've got like 5 minutes of usable audio. To a bitch slap y'all and you die. I'm pretty sure the Lich has an extra ability called bitch slap, and when they hit you with it, it's like 1 KO. It's like 30 D10s of damage. Alright, don't fucking finger me! I'm not a total fucker! Shit, I can't look at RJ. What can I say? RJ's face making me laugh.
Look, here's all I know. About 7 or 8 dudes showed up a day or two ago, and then all of a sudden the ghost problems really just kicked off. I can't really tell you more than that.
No one just appeared like a day or two before the ghost started appearing? No one out of the ordinary?
She just stares at you.
I mean, come
That
on.
that is literally what I just said. Literally what I just said.
Hard pause. And whatever you said is completely out of my mind because I was actually thinking about something else.
Obviously!
What did you say?
I said 7 or 8 guys just showed up. Here,
I'm
let's do
so
a
sorry.
let's do a rewind.
I'm
Start
so
this
sorry.
again.
I had a really rough day at work. And
I find it kind of interesting that Zem asks a question, doesn't listen to anything that was said, and said, "Okay, so I'm going to repeat my question."
I'm so sorry.
So this one will end up on the cutting room floor,
I'm so sorry.
and only be saved for us to re-listen to.
RJ,
Seven.
how do I kill this big fat man with the staff?
Oh, that's easy.
Eat lots of bacon until he dies of a heart attack.
Yeah, just let the slow passage of time.
Survival of the fittest.
Not of the fattest.
Oh my god. Daddy.
Alright.
Just jump on his head.
I can't. Every time I jump near him, I just fly into doggy heaven.
Doggy heaven?
Doggy
Fly
heaven?
into doggy heaven.
Not Bandicoot heaven?
Bandicoot
At this point, is Jeffrey just looking, or is he copping a feel?
Oh, Zem's not letting him cop a feel.
You literally told him to check out a spot.
I said, yeah, check it out. Look. Not like touchy, touch.
Okay.
Anyway.
So she's like a porn star. You can look, but you can't touch.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure that would definitely involve touching. Like...
Semantics!
Semantics!
I mean, if you go to the doctor and say, "Doctor, this part on my elbow hurts,"
You can look, but you can't touch!
if they go check it out, you go, "No touching, just look at it."
But, because I figured it was kind of a nice balance to not having to... I'ma fucking destroy that shit.
What is it doing?
Unplug it.
It's being an asshole trying to eject discs that aren't there.
Wow, and I was really freaking out.
Okay. It's a bomb.
Ah!
The haunted PlayStation.
It's called Phantom Power Ash.
O'Toole the Foolie.
My boy.
Alright, so,
Let's hope he doesn't die.
God's sake, if he dies, I'm done.
Suddenly,
Suddenly
flying through the air when it hits the
a
ground.
fully grown adult dragon lands on the inn and crushes it.
Challenge accepted.
Jack, you've done this for the last time. First Roland, now O'Toole.
Jack is shaped into a dragon?
No, he's riding the dragon.
How did he drop a full-size dragon?
Because he's fucking Jack.
You don't know what Jack can do.
Because Jack is whack, dude.
However, you do find 3 books that look like they are very valuable.
Awesome.
Those all hold more liches.
Throw them in the rucksack.
It's
Okay.
porn! It's medieval porn!
The last adventurers who came here released
Yeah, one of them is called
Let's not.
Ye Hustlers.
I got Brigitte. She's got Castiel.
In a fight? No, in love.
In husbandos and
Okay.
waifus.
Jonah's gonna be making his way downtown to this podium.
Okay.
And he's gonna take out his quarterstaff. And he's gonna take... And he's...
So next up is Joan. So, I'm Joan Redsun. I'm gonna take a chromatic orb shot at this motherfucker.
Several minutes later.
Where are we at? What's
It's
up?
your turn.
Go.
Alright, where's he? Is he still at the podium?
Yeah, he hasn't
He
moved.
has not moved.
Correct. Alright, have we dealt a lot of damage since
Yeah, he's not looking so great.
Alright, cool, then fucking I don't care that my magic is halved on this dumbass. I'm going to cast another 2nd level chromatic orb at this.
Dang, you just know him so well, Harrison.
Go ahead.
Two trailer park girls go round the outside, round the outside, round the outside. Two trailer park girls go round the outside, round the outside, round the outside.
Now is that what
Guess
you're gonna
who's
do
back?
every time you go to talk into the microphone?
Back again.
Like, are you actually gonna lean
Yes,
in like
lady's
that?
back.
Or are you just gonna
Tell a
back?
friend.
Yeah,
Test how you're gonna actually talk into the microphone during the session. I don't care if you sing some Slim Shady, just where you're sitting. If you're gonna lean in every time, then that's what we'll do. I just don't want to.
He's about to
I
do
know
challenge
it's-
accepted.
What are we doing?
You're just sitting.
Normal
You're
mic
just, just gonna sit how you're gonna sit. I just want you sitting as far back as you're actually gonna sit when you record, so I know if you need to not sit, how far back you're gonna
Well, I'm
record.
gonna be like this, so yeah, Ramash all the way, baby.
You're probably gonna have to lean. You guys are probably gonna have to get right into the mic. Yeah, like that.
Shall I do mine?
I don't know who you're gonna be doing that with.
I'm going with just theirs right now.
What's up, guys? This is Ramash, and
Fuck, I forgot my mind.
God damn it, Brunhilde, you do this every time.
I thoroughly enjoy gallivanting through the forest and skinning the wildlife and making crotch pieces out of their skins. Skins for my foreskin, if you will. Comfort from little bunnies caressing my crotch. You are now thoroughly horrified.
This is the weirdest version of Thriller I've ever heard.
This is the Thriller.
I know you love that face.
What do I see?
Dicks.
It's just a bunch of
No,
Just penises. Penises everywhere.
Yes.
Gotta be willing to laugh at yourself.
I laugh at myself every day. I look in the mirror and go, ah! And then I just cry.
A single laugh followed by a lot of crying.
There are reasons why I should
We
never
don't-
eat Taco Bell.
I don't.
Yeah.
No.
We all know. Taco Bell, right?
Especially at my age.
At your
You're
age.
older than
Shut
I am.
up, dude.
I love how we all said at your age.
Back when I was your age.
Trey, how old are you? How old am
I'm
I?
25.
I'm not drunk enough for this shit.
that was just a descent into fuckery.
Yeah.